I wanted to move the discussion and talk about your book, Motivated by God's Love to Forgive. And
Yes,
first and
yes.
foremost, I absolutely love the title because I love that it tells you from the beginning that the motivation to forgive should come from God. Because
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes, most times,
It
we
has
don't
to.
feel like forgiving.
Mm-mm.
So can you share
Yes.
a little bit more about that title and what you mean by motivated by God's love to forgive?
Yes, you have to be, Christina. You have to be motivated by God, because He's the only that can help us overcome all the obstacles and all the negative feelings that we have when we have to release forgiveness. I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, when you have to release forgiveness, anybody listening to this can identify it is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
You can just go on living and just act like it's nothing wrong, but you can never ever escape the fact that you have to, ask someone for forgiveness, or if someone wronged you, they have to, seek your forgiveness. It is hard. It is very,
Yeah.
very hard. Whatever the act of injustice that warrants the forgiveness, you have to just be motivated, like I said, by God's
Mhm.
love to forgive. You have to think about His love for us and what He did for
Mhm.
us, and then we have to extend the same love and grace to others that He extended. And
Yeah.
it is a motivation. It is a
Mhm.
motivation. You know,
Yeah.
different things motivate us in life, but to be motivated by God's love, to think about God's love, to think about His sacrifice, to think about what He did for us, just motivates us all the more to forgive others. It's very hard to release, especially when you have like deep rooted things that you are holding on to that you
Mhm.
have to release. That's hard. That's a hard place. But with God, all things are possible. And we just have to believe
Amen.
God and just know that He is the only source to help us get through the different situations that we face.
Right. Right. And I
Yes.
was in First John today, and I was reminded that we love because He first loved us. And that the Bible talks about we should forgive others because God forgave
Mhm.
us. And so it's like
Yes. Yeah.
He set that example for us so that we can follow it. So it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but like you said, with
Mhm.
God, it's possible. You know.
Yes, it is. It
And
is.
I'd be interested to know, how has God personally helped you in the area of forgiving others?
Mm. Just mainly just staying focused on knowing who I am as a child of God, knowing I'm not
Mhm.
perfect, make
Right.
mistakes, but knowing He is a forgiving Savior, and I can come to
Mhm.
Him anytime, anywhere, and just ask for His forgiveness, and He will forgive. But when He forgives you and gives you specific instructions, you have to do it. You cannot
Yeah.
escape the fact that you're going to have to ask for forgiveness,
Mhm.
sometimes
Mhm.
receive others' forgiveness. Because when someone wrongs you, hurt your feelings, and it's a serious, even if it's serious or not serious to someone else, if
Mhm.
it's you, it affects you. Then you're the one that say whether or not it's serious or not. But anyway, it's hard. It's a hard place to forgive someone when they wrong you, whether it
Yeah.
be in your marriage, whether that be with a
Mm.
friendship, whether that be with a church member, whether that be, with any other type of relationship. It's hard to receive forgiveness at times, and it's hard for you to ask for forgiveness. It's like, how we
Yeah.
lament over asking someone for forgiveness. You try to rehearse it, say, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say that," and ask this person for forgiveness, and then you
Yeah.
play it back over all the different scenarios in your mind of what they're gonna say and how they're gonna respond. But then
Right.
you just know that you have done what God requires of you, because He said if we don't forgive others, we're not gonna be forgiven, and we know we need God's forgiveness constantly in our
Right.
lives. Yes,
Right.
yes, but forgiveness
And
is a heavy, heavy, heavy thing. It really is, and it's like with me, I held on to unforgiveness for so long, and it was
mhm.
like like I said, this book was written since 2010, but because I had unforgiveness in my life, God was like, you can't write a book and tell somebody how to forgive others and you haven't forgiven yourself, you know?
Wow.
And that was
Yeah.
a heavy thing. And it was the truth. I forgiveness, but not like in a way that was on display. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I could
Yeah.
still smile, I can still love and still treat you with kindness, even though my heart was far from
Mm.
it. And that's the truth. And that was
Yeah.
that was an ugly place to be in. It was like you was walking
Mm.
around in a fog,
Mm.
and then when the fog lifted, you saw the ugly truth of how you
Whew.
acted, and it wasn't a pretty sight.
How did you know when the fog lifted? How did you know when you really forgave someone or really released an offense? How did you know?
I constantly prayed, and it was in my face every single day. I'm serious. Be careful when you ask God to show you, or when you ask Him to give you revelation about something in life that you're going through. You better be careful, because when He shows it to you, woo! Oh wow, it was like very huge awareness for me when I it released and let it go. But it was like constant prayer, constant just seeking God and just being honest and letting Him know, God, I'm serious. You're gonna have to help me. Because like I say, if you don't help me, I'm not gonna be helped. I mean,
That's
seriously. You have got to help
right.
me.
You
You've
gotta
got
do
to
it,
help
Lord.
me. You have got to help me. Yes, because if He don't help me, I am not going to be helped. And that's the truth. That is the
Right.
truth.
So then
But
how did you
it's
know?
just
Okay.
Oh, you said how
Okay.
did I know? When I started feeling the change that came. Okay, I would
Okay.
pray and the anger still was there. I would seek God and the anger was still there. It was like when that fog lifted. When I say the fog, it was like when the truth was revealed to me, or when I accepted the truth. The truth was always there. The truth is always
Yeah.
there. We choose to accept it or deny or turn the other way. But when fog lifted and I was see that, like our pastor teach us from time to
Mhm.
time about, loving others and considering ourselves, we have to
Mhm.
consider ourselves. And we have
Mhm.
to know that the same blood that Jesus shed for us, He shed for
Mhm.
others too. And there
Right.
is no big sin and there is no little sin. Is just sin. And He said in His word that all unrighteousness is sin. So
Wow.
my holding on to unforgiveness in my life is just as big a sin as someone that go out and commit murder, which in our society, I talk about that in my book, we consider
Uh-huh.
murders like the ultimate sin. But
Right.
we just have to know and check ourselves daily.
Yeah.
God created me, like David said, created me a clean heart and renew the right
Mm.
spirit within me. Yes.
Mm. So it was like a mind shift for you as far as how you viewed forgiveness so that you could get to a point to release those offenses. Um,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Especially when you
Most
said, realizing that we all need forgiveness and that
definitely.
God forgives us. So who are we to hold that from someone else?
Exactly right. And He tells us to forgive. He commands us to forgive. He says we have to forgive.
Right.
That is
Right.
His command. He tells us that we have to forgive. There's no way of getting around it. But have you ever like held a grudge against someone or someone
Uh-huh.
offended you and you were upset with
Yeah.
and try your best not to think about them? You try your best to just avoid the whole situation. But it's like when you wake up in the morning, usually that's the first thing you think about during the day, and
Yeah.
everything. So it's like no get around it until you go and
Yeah.
say, I'm sorry.
It
And that
like
usually
has a
happens.
grasp on you.
Yes. And it usually happens in your marriage,
Mhm.
when you have like, a disagreement or
Yep.
something, and and God is telling you, now Patricia, you need you need to apologize.
And I love that in your teaching about forgiveness, it's not just about forgiving others, but also recognizing when you need forgiveness and when you need to ask for forgiveness. So
Yes,
often when we
yes.
talk about forgiveness, it's always about, oh, this person did me wrong and I need to forgive them. But really realizing that we got to humble ourselves and realize when we've offended others, and when we've hurt others, and then be humble enough to ask for forgiveness when we need to.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because just like, with your children, and when they do something wrong and they really hurt your feelings, and you just like, wow, I can't believe they did that. But then you think about all that you disobeyed God
Yeah,
and didn't allow him to have full reign in your life. How does that make him feel? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a painful situation when we keep neglecting the love of God over and over and over again. We just don't accept his love and accept his forgiveness. But we have in order to move on and have the most productive life that we can have. We have to
yeah,
um, just continually forgive. And it's not like a multiple choice situation. You have to forgive.
right. Yeah, yeah. God, yeah, it's not multiple choice. I love that. It's a command.